Have you ever stepped onto a plane, glanced left at the wide leather seats, the champagne flutes, and the hushed cabin, and wondered, why is this called first class? Is it simply because it's better? Or does the name come from something much older than airplanes, airport lounges, and priority boarding? The phrase first class feels so natural today that we rarely question it. We use it everywhere, from travel and education to mail, service ratings, and even people. But behind those two simple words is a long history shaped by social hierarchy, industrial revolutions, and the human urge to rank everything. To understand why it's called first class, we have to travel back to a time before jet engines ever roared. Let's explore, right here, on History of Simple Things. Long before airplanes existed, the concept of first class was born on land and sea. In the 18th and early 19th centuries, large public transportation systems began to emerge, especially railways and passenger ships. These were some of the first times in history that large numbers of people from different social backgrounds traveled together. But society at the time was rigidly divided by class: aristocrats, merchants, laborers, and those divisions didn't magically disappear just because everyone boarded the same train or ship. Instead, they were physically built into the experience. Rail cars and cabins were separated by comfort, space, and amenities, and these divisions were explicitly labeled. The best accommodations were called first class, followed by second and third class, each reflecting not just comfort, but social standing. The term class itself comes from the Latin word classis, which originally referred to a division of Roman citizens based on wealth and military role. From the very beginning, a class was about rank, order, and privilege. When transportation companies adopted the term, they weren't inventing something new. They were borrowing a deeply ingrained social concept. First simply meant the highest rank in that order. So first class was not just the nicest option, it was literally the top tier of society, translated into a ticket. On early trains, first-class passengers enjoyed padded seats, enclosed carriages, and protection from the elements. Second-class travelers might get wooden benches, but some shelter, while third-class passengers often rode in open cars with little comfort at all. The same structure existed on ships. First-class cabins were spacious, private, and luxuriously furnished, while lower classes slept in crowded shared quarters below deck. The experience of travel wasn't just about getting from one place to another, it was a moving reflection of the social ladder. Calling it first class made that hierarchy clear without explanation. When commercial aviation began in the early 20th century, it inherited this language almost automatically. Flying was initially expensive and exclusive, so early airline cabins resembled today's first class by default. As air travel became more accessible, airlines needed ways to differentiate levels of service, comfort, and price. Once again, the familiar hierarchy appeared. The most spacious seats, best food, and personalized service were labeled first class, reinforcing the idea that this was the highest standard available. Even though airplanes were revolutionary, the way we categorize passengers was anything but new. What's interesting is that first class isn't defined by a fixed set of features. Its meaning shifts over time. What counted as first class on a train in 1850, upholstered seats and glass windows, would feel basic today. Yet the label remains powerful because it's relative. First class is always defined in contrast to what comes after it. It's not just about luxury, it's about being the best option in that system. The name endures because it's flexible, instantly understandable, and deeply rooted in how humans think about ranking. The phrase also spread far beyond transportation. Schools adopted the idea of first-class honors to describe top academic achievement. Postal systems introduced first-class mail to indicate priority handling and reliability. Hotels, services, and even behavior began to be described as first class when they exceeded expectations. Over time, the term evolved from a literal category into a metaphor. To call something first class was to say it represented excellence, prestige, and superior quality, regardless of context. Psychologically, the term is incredibly effective. Humans are naturally drawn to status markers, and first is the most powerful position in any sequence. It suggests leadership, priority, and exclusivity. When paired with class, a word already associated with refinement and rank, the phrase becomes a shortcut to perceived value. Airlines and businesses understand this well. Calling something first class instantly frames it as aspirational, even before you experience it. Yet modern first class has also become more symbolic than universal. On many airlines today, business class offers nearly the same comfort, while first class exists only on select routes or as a brand statement. Still, the name carries weight. It signals that this is the pinnacle, the best the company can offer, even if only a few passengers ever sit there. The term survives not because it's always practical, but because it's culturally powerful. So why is it called first class? Because long before airplanes, humanity decided to organize itself into ranks, and those ranks followed us onto trains, ships, and eventually into the sky. First class began as a literal reflection of social order, evolved into a commercial category, and ultimately became a symbol of excellence. Every time you hear the phrase, you're hearing an echo of centuries of history, where comfort, privilege, and priority were clearly and deliberately put first. And the next time you walk past the curtain at the front of the plane, remember, you're not just stepping into a nicer seat. You're stepping into a name shaped by history, hierarchy, and our timeless obsession with being first. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.